basically, like, when it comes to a piece, I like wherever the piece will be. If I need to like saw something, I'll just do it right there. Like, I travel with all my tools and stuff, so like I'll just be in the middle of the floor with like a Dremel, sending sparks of metal like across the room casually, like one AirPod in, just like going at it.
What is she doing?
Yeah, literally. They're like, all right, so I'm like, yeah, the building won't catch on fire. You're fine. I am Giiivens. I am a designer that specializes in lighting, 3D, augmented reality, and basically just general creative direction. So I grew up in Indiana, like South Bend, Indiana, so it's pretty rural, Midwestern, but also has like massive college towns in it, like college town energy, and is a college town. With that being said, the creative scene was very minimal and we didn't have a lot of exposure to the art world overall. So like in the realms of like doing light sculptures and stuff like that, I hadn't really interacted with anyone from my hometown doing similar stuff. So I went to school at a all-girls college in Indiana, St. Mary's. After like major hopping like most of us do, I ended up being an art major, but it was pretty traditional, like 2D figurative or painting, and I didn't want to do any of that. I started with furniture and was working doing furniture design, and I kind of expanded that and was also doing new media. So I was like a grunt intern for a production company for a year, and during that time we filmed a lot of videos, so that got me to do side projects. And with that, I ended up doing a music video with this guy, and we wanted to light the set, but I didn't want to do it in a traditional way. So I kind of had the happy accident of making a light sculpture, and it kind of just snowballed after that. Like end of my junior year, going into my senior year, and then I got the opportunity to do an installation at the museum there, so it kind of just took off after that.
Was that your career plan at all, or it just kind of happened? Like,
I don't think I ever had a career plan. I just knew I wanted to make cool things, and it definitely was the first time I was faced with the reality of like I could have an artistic career, so I kind of just wanted to run with that. So the first like major project I did was last year. I completed a public art project in my hometown, and we basically renovated and restored a tunnel that wasn't used for 20 years, and I put one of my sculptures in there. And yeah, so that was my first time getting like actual funding to do a project and like working with the government, and pretty cool. Most of my like learning was definitely like on me. I had people I could reach out and ask for questions, but even the people that I would reach out to, I feel like wanted me to just fly, and like there wasn't a lot of hand holding during any of my processes. I just went out and I tried and I failed, and once I failed I knew what I did wrong and took it further. It's definitely trial and error. Like as far as like software and like coding and stuff, like YouTube is always going to be probably better than any college you could go to. Like they have tutorials for everything. So like the knowledge is definitely out there, but like accessibility as far as like getting materials or like having funding to create artwork is more of the harder part. I think the thing about like art with me is like I know I will always be an artist, and I know I love doing like lighting design. I don't think that's the end all be all of like what I want to do artistically, but I know no matter what I do, it will always be like encompassed in making art and making light sculptures. I actually moved to Chicago after living in Austin during the pandemic. I lived in Austin, Texas for less than a year, and during the like craziest time you possibly could live in Texas, like the government's going crazy down there, like Greg Abbott's horrible. Also there's COVID. I just moved in with roommates that I met on Craigslist, so I'm like stuck in the house with them, and I don't know. So after like dealing with all that, I decided I wanted to be closer to my family because my parents are older and immunocompromised, and my sister was still a minor at the time. So Chicago was like the happy medium. Plus I had just started like dating my partner who lived here, so I kind of got like the best of all the worlds. At the time, most of my like work and commissions were coming out of Austin, so I was either flying out pretty consistently or had also like built a community while I was there, and so it was the right place for the time. But the time ended. Currently I've only started like making work in Chicago like since late spring, so I'm still kind of like budding into the scene as far as like doing installations and artworks. But I've been like really fortunate to meet a lot of great creatives, especially in the like DJ and techno scenes and house scenes, where like the music and the artwork kind of combine and collaborate to make spaces where people can come and just express themselves. And so I'm still kind of finding my footing between doing that and then working on my own personal bodies of works. I'm trying to find a happy medium and enjoying the scene and enjoying all the cool people I've met, but also working. Most of the people that I have gotten in contact with has either been a friend of a friend, or it's like someone's like, yo, I saw your Instagram, what's up? And I'm like, okay, cool. So I've displayed a lot of places nationally so far. So in Austin, Texas, I did a show for South by Southwest with Red Bull, and had some sculptures out there in Austin. I have the permanent artwork in South Bend, Indiana at Pier Park. I've done, so monthly I do shows here that are audio visual with Dark Haven Co. at literally Devonnier next door. And then we also throw like bigger raves bi-monthly. And then Brooklyn as well, done some galleries at the Bishop Bedford out there. I think the one I'm most proud of happened in Austin at the Museum of Human Achievement, because I think it was more because of the time crunch and what came from that. So like I had less than 48 hours to put up a massive sculpture, and I had never really built anything like that one before. So I think when I'm in the process of making a sculpture, I really try to make sure that it suits the space it'll be in first. So my biggest like influence is always the room or space in which it will be contained. Once I have an understanding of the space, it's easier for me to kind of like formulate what will look best as far as shape but also lighting. So like I feel like those are two contrasting things. It's one thing to like make the sculpture, and usually they are like simple shapes, but it's another thing to experience light and how that's affecting you in space, whether it's like color or brightness or all of that. It all affects the body and how we perceive depth and space. I think the thing that like pushes me to keep going forward is that I know I'm nowhere near what I want to achieve, and until I get that, I simply will not be satisfied or able to rest. I don't know, I kind of have a positive anxiety, and that kind of pushes me to just keep going after it until I get it, and I know I won't stop until I do. Just because I think in my mind I know what I can make, and until I'm able to physically put that in the world, I won't feel right. I definitely want the opportunity to design and like creative direct a show and just like all out design the layout for a fashion house for a fashion week internationally, and for like New York, LA, all of that. I think I also want to dive deeper into my own practice of making art outside of like light sculptures. Like there are so many other mediums that I work with, and I want to really incorporate it all, but it's all in finding the right place, time, and space. Yeah, I think I could make something really good for like Mugler or something like that. I feel like the light and the minimalism would pair really well with like the way they structure their garments, and I would really love to like be experimental and play with that. Like I think I also just want to work with like a range within fashion, because I'm really currently diving into high fashion, but also like I don't know, sometimes even the like most, I don't know, even like I see a lot of cool work from like homegrown streetwear brands as well. So like finding the bridge to where I can work with anyone I want to work with, no matter what the garments look like, and just making sure I can make cohesive and like beautiful work to complement that. I definitely want to like work with music festivals and like do visuals for stuff like that, but I'm a little more reserved with that because I don't want to fall into the hole of just like making work for festivals and making pieces that are just meant for like that space. I want to be able to kind of operate in any lane I see fit at the time. I have collaborated with Flavor's creative group We did a t-shirt together where I designed graphics and really got to kind of dive into something I don't generally do. So like designing clothes and graphics for shirts. So that was a really fun experiment into like dabbling into other markets, and I hope to do that more soon. I really do love doing graphic work as far as clothes, not like posters and stuff. That stuff like drives me crazy. Too picky. Yeah, so of course like we collaborated, went back and forth on designs, like figured out what would work best to represent both of our brands for the tee. Once we got that settled, yeah, we kind of just had to find the right people to make sure that our designs would be properly printed and to the quality and standard that we both like. And once we found that company, and of course wanting to stay local and support local businesses, we found someone in the area who could do that, and they hooked it up for us. So we kind of just sent the designs and got some samples, and it was great. I think it all depends. Like I love collaborating as far as like things that I am kind of like dabbling and experimenting in. I think when it comes to my own practice, I prefer to work alone just because I have built my own system to a way where it's like, I know I can get this done in this amount of time in this way, and I know that it'll turn out like this, especially when it comes to like lighting, because then you get to like, well, you soldered that wrong, or like this piece of metal is too long, and all that stuff. I think the thing currently that I'm most proud of achieving is I recently became a chair at the museum in my hometown. So I think I'm probably like one of the youngest people who's done that. So pretty proud of myself for like getting the opportunity to do that, and with how I've taken on that role so far. I am the chair of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So I have oversight over making sure that like basically every faculty of the museum is operating in an equitable manner, and making sure that everyone is being treated correctly, and making sure that the artworks we present and show are inclusive to the entirety of the community and not just certain groups. I definitely want to be in Chicago for a while. I don't think it'll be a forever thing. I don't think anyone can really say that. Like, life is crazy, but I am of the mind of like wanting to have Chicago be my home base, and then have the opportunity artistically to travel wherever, but always be able to come back home, even if I'm somewhere for like months at a time. To have a home base somewhere is really important to me, and I think I would like that to be here.
So you make films too?
Yeah, generally just like shorts capturing whatever's happening. I have the one I guess my favorite one that I've made is I'm like stumbling around Brooklyn, and I'm literally just filming. You would know it, but I'm like fucked up. I'm crossfaded as hell, but I have this gimbal, and that's some sturdy footage because it kept the camera where I was not. It's on my Instagram. It's literally like a 40, I think it's under a minute video, but yeah. And I scored that one, so yeah. It would probably be like your gut instincts are the ones that matter the most, no matter what anyone tells you about your work, because like, I think the best art is loved and hated. Just do what you're gonna do, because someone will love it and someone will hate it. Yeah, so if you want to follow me on social media, all of my accounts are at Giiivens, at Giiivens, and you can check out the entirety of my portfolio at giiivens.com.